I never know how to start these things, so we'll just jump right in.
You gotta say, "What's up, homies?"
I gotta come up with a line.
Yep. Oh, it's on the way.
It's on the way,
Right.
yeah. So we are, today we're jumping in,
Yep.
figuring out where you're going, because we're all on the way somewhere, right? So I'm sitting here with Don Manieri. That's how you pronounce your last name?
Manieri.
Manieri,
Yep.
sorry.
Manieri.
I made it
Manieri.
very Italian in the
Yep.
way that I pronounced it.
That's right. Manieri.
Manieri. Don Manieri, who is the owner of Long Island Mold Guy, or you are the Long Island Mold Guy,
Yep.
and your company is Long Island Mold Guy.
Yes, it is.
Thank you for sitting down here. We've had
Thanks
many
for having me.
discussions. We've gone along the way with you on the job site.
Yep, that we have.
I know a ton about you, but I feel like a lot of people watching maybe don't. And so this would be a really cool conversation to kind of understand where you're coming from, where you're going, and hopefully how people who are watching can help you out.
Right on. Yeah, my mentor tells me I should share more of myself.
Well, who's your mentor? Or you don't have to name names, but...
This gentleman I'm working with, it's more, he's like my Instagram mentor.
Okay.
So he instructs me and gives me structure on posting and teaches me how to run ads, all types of stuff like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of mentorship, but I think people get mentorship confused a lot of the times. Sometimes you don't even need like a formal mentor in a way.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty a laid-back thing, and like I said, we have groups with his other clients, and then one-on-ones where he teaches me how to run my Instagram, basically.
That's cool. Have you done a lot of mentorship up to this point in your business?
I haven't.
No? This is the first kind of like formal mentorship that you had?
I know, it's a little over-formal. I'll call him my mentor, right? We're working on Instagram, but I guess, he's teaching me things, so I guess he is a mentor.
I have a lot of mentors in a way, but I don't have any like formal mentors right now. But I have a lot of people that I look up to and that I try to pull from as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways that you can go about mentorship in a way.
I think so.
So let's start at the beginning here. We got a lot of business and a lot of time to cover.
Yeah, let's go.
You are the Long Island Mold Guy. You have a background in restoration. How did you end up, I guess just give us a little bit about your history, where you started, who are you, and why do you do what you do?
Well, I got started in the restoration industry a little over 30 years ago.
Huh?
I was looking for a part-time job. At the time, I was working one part-time job. I got on the phone with this woman who said her boyfriend owned a small restoration company, and you could probably work for him and not have two jobs. I was like, well, that sounds great, And then that's basically where it began, doing a lot of fire cleaning, a lot of puffback cleaning. And back then, in the ancient restoration history, there weren't very many companies, and we would be working around the clock all the time. But again, mostly fires, lots of cleaning, and more cleaning of these fires and these puffbacks, and working like crazy. I think when I first started, I was making $8 an hour. And that's where I got my start, and I stayed with that company for about 10 years.
Okay, so where in the timeline are we? You get is that the early 2000s? Is that the 90s? What is that?
Wow. Well, I'm kind of bad at math, so we're in 2025 minus 30. Where
Yeah, 95. So
95,
takes you through 2005-ish?
Yeah, around then. And then I branched off with the owner's cousin, and we started our own little home improvement company.
Okay.
Called the Home Solution.
I didn't know this.
So we were doing, basements. This guy was really talented. We did a lot of built-in custom cabinetry and window seats, and he taught me a lot of the home improvement side of things, which I knew about, but not too much. I never really did it hands-on. But we were like complete opposites, like Felix and Oscar, odd couple. He was very, very unorganized, and I'm extremely organized when it comes to doing things. And eventually, not that we're still friends to this day, but we had a falling out over the business. I said, I'm getting out of here. I saw an ad in the paper for ServPro. Not that I want to mention ServPro on my thing here, but I went to go work there. Let's say I saw an ad for a franchise restoration company and decided to go there. I said, I'm leaving. And I went over there and I brought my skills over to the franchise. And I worked there for about 7 years as a project manager before I just realized, I'm like, wow, they're sucking up a lot of my time. And my life is gone here. I'm giving up my life to these people. They would call and bother me on the weekends when I'm off. It became such a nuisance. And I decided, I said, you know what, I'm going to start my own company. I had a perfectly fine job there. I got paid very well, had the 401k and the company profit sharing and all that stuff. But what I didn't have is my own time and my own peace. And they used a lot of subcontractors, big company. So I said, hey, if I got my own van and all my own stuff, would you hire me? And that basically got me running because they fed me plenty of work. I didn't have to do any advertising, any marketing, nothing to get it because they were getting it all and giving it to me. It was putting food on the table. So I was doing that for a while, subbing, and then just eventually the money stopped. You know, I went to their little mailbox, no more checks in there. There was always regular checks. And then that's when I realized I better start figuring out how to get my own work or else I'm going to die relying on somebody else.
Was this Long Island Mold guy at that time, or was it restoration?
I was actually a different company, which I still have, which is called Category 3 LLC. That's my main company.
Okay.
And Long Island Mold Guy is a DBA that I operate under. But I ran Category 3 LLC for a while. And
were you doing all types of restoration or just mold?
Yes, I was just a general, what I consider a general restoration contractor.
Okay.
And I did that for a while. I started that in late 2012, 2013. So here we are. And then eventually, that really didn't have like a brand behind it. You know, it had a basic logo. I'm this general restoration contractor just like everybody else. There's an abundance of them on Long Island now at this point. And I said, I need to rebrand or start another brand. And everybody, like all my clients and customers would always call me the mold guy. Call Dominic, he's the mold guy, he'll take care of you. And then I was like, boom, I'm starting Long Island Mold Guy. And it really changed things for me. I started a brand. I put a logo behind it, and I have brand colors, and it's just something I was able to sell and market and show people. Look at this. It's brandy. You know, that's why I always called it. It's more brandable, more marketable. And
I mean, it is. It's very, we had Dean here sitting behind the door on the other side of this. He just walked in, and he knew about you. He knew your slogan of "Right Guy for Your Fungi."
Yep,
and
which I actually have trademarked recently.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So it's official.
We'll come back to that. I want to know the whole process.
We'll
of
get back
trademarking.
to that. So I started Long Island Mold Guy just because I felt it would be better for me financially in the long run, and I just started building on that and kind of just let Category 3 just be that parent and just be there. So I stopped really promoting Category 3. It just carries my insurance, my licenses, and that's what it's there for. And I become the mold guy. And it's been great ever since. I've gained more recognition. People understand and realize now that I'm a specialist and call me specifically for that, and not just homeowners. Other companies like general restoration contractors will say, let's get Dominic involved. He's a specialist. He does this every day. You know, so it's not only just homeowners that are hiring me. Sometimes I'll get calls. And I actually have one working relationship with a general restoration contractor that gives me all his mold work. So he knows he doesn't have to worry.
Yeah.
He says, here, Dom, take care of this for me. And I've been loving it ever since. I love creating content. I love doing the videos. I love educating and showing people what I do. And that's what I love most, I think, about the job, is just bringing people in and having a good time with it instead of scaring people. That's my way of looking at things. A lot of people talk about mold in a scary way, but mostly anybody who hears about it kind of knows it's dangerous already. So I feel, you know, let's have a different approach to it.
You touched on a lot of things there. I want to go back to...
Right, I kind of jump around a little bit.
No, but it's good. You have a lot of topics to talk about and a lot of things to cover. I want to jump into the specializing, right? So this is something that I, and I think a lot of other people out there are maybe struggling with, but also know that they need to do it. What went into the decision to becoming the mold specialist versus, oh, you know, like I could get all this extra work doing the restoration, or I could get all this extra work doing this extra piece, and saying it's difficult in the moment to say no to that stuff, right? Like
Of course.
we are the video specialists, right? I market us as that. I talk to people about it's video, it's social media. Like that is what we focus on. And it was a decision that I had to make early on in this, was like, we're not going to be focused on Facebook ads. We're not going to be focused on being a, you know, doing the branding and doing all this stuff. Like we brand through video, and like that is where we heavily focus. And I think that specialization has worked to our advantage, because people now come to us specifically when they need a story told in the right way.
Right.
But there's all those distractions on the outside,
course, yeah.
stopping you from, oh, well, I could do this person's website. I absolutely could do this person's, you know, social media ads, or all these different pieces of the marketing journey. How did you come to the decision to only do mold? Or did you not at first?
There are a few reasons. I would say the first reason is to get my life back.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned earlier working for a franchise. You know, I wasn't put here to work. I do work very hard, but we have to enjoy our lives and have some peace in our lives. And that's what really drew me most, because mold, while important, it's not an emergency like a flood or a fire where you gotta go the moment that phone rings. All right? Mold has a process involved, from an inspection to the estimate to the remediation. So it's more my pace. I can schedule a mold remediation from 9 to 5 and be home with my family for dinner. So it allows me to have somewhat of a more structured and peaceful lifestyle. It also brings me closer to people that need help. My clientele are people who really, really need to take care of their mold problems. And they come to me because they know I'm going to handle it with kid gloves, and I care about their well-being. So as much as people maybe on the outside frustrate me a lot, I love working with the client that needs help. And a lot of the times mold is also associated with people that are going through life issues. And unfortunately, their life issues have taken them away from dealing with that mold, and it's only become worse, and it's become a burden to them. And I am there to make their life better. And when I make someone's life better, it makes me feel better. So that's a big reason why I do what I do. So I'm going to get all choked up. But yeah, I like helping people.
I've noticed that over the time in working with you. Do you have tissue or something?
Yeah, it's okay.
You okay? We'll take some time. I've noticed.
I'm just an emotional person, so when I talk about that, so it gets me choked.
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed in working with you and getting to know you over the last, we'll call it, year or so, you're a very empathetic person. You really do care, and I think that is your differentiator in business and in life. It's one of those things that in the industry that you're in is sorely lacking.
I agree.
And I think it's a big reason why you've had success to this point as well. You know, there's a lot of business content out there in the world that's saying, oh, you get more efficient, you know, find a way to scale and do all these things.
Right.
But what you're doing is building a connection with the person and genuinely helping people who are in a time of need.
Right.
Like
I think
you
I'm
said.
helping myself in the process.
Well, there's a quote that I'm going to butcher of like, business is just a self-improvement journey disguised as business, or something like that.
Because you meet so many cool people along the way. And again, when they're going through something, you're learning about them. And so you're going to end up sharing some of yourself with them too. you know, because you might relate to something they're saying. So again, I think it's just really cool.
It
Make
is
a
very
connection
cool.
with people. You know, it's not just a job. We're here to help change somebody's life, basically. So, I
Can you
think it's
give me
cool.
an example of a situation that maybe you were able to help someone's life in a way?
Oh yeah, I mean all the time. For instance, recently we have a family. You know, they have an ailing mother. They're taking care of the ailing mother. They don't really have time to take care of this problem in the basement. And they also have grandchildren that want the space, and you know, there's a big story behind everything. So we're taking care of that for you. You know, you go worry about your husband. You know, she has a husband in the hospital. You go worry about that. I have no desire for what's in your home other than to take care of your business downstairs in your basement. And we get it nice. We get the inspection pass for them. I'll get them somebody to put it all back together for them nice. And then they call and tell me, you got to send me pictures, the kids playing in this new space and stuff. And, you know, that before and after journey is just amazing. You know, they got their space back, and this lady was still able to take care of what's going on in her family without having to sit here and monitor what I'm doing. You know, we took care of the whole job for her. She didn't have to be there, except, you know, let me walk you through at the end. Or if there was something popped up, you know, I want her permission or I need to make her aware of it. But she was able to not be involved at all and take care of her life. You know, and that's what we give people, that trust, that comfortability that we bring. You know, I'll let them know me and let them know who I really am, and that makes them feel so comfortable that they can leave us in their home. They don't have to worry about a damn thing other than what's going on in their life. And that's such a reward, not only for the customer, but for myself as well. I made your life easier.
Yeah. About a week ago, we went on a job site with you, and that was something that I noticed. I don't think I even mentioned it while we were there, but it was something that I noticed is like you take great care in every step of the process. Right? We were doing a lot of stuff about you know, this particular job was a basement, and there was a lot of mold down there. You wanted to make sure that it was sealed in that basement, that when you turn on the air and the blowers and the filters that you had going on, that the HEPA vacs, that none of that air circulated upstairs. And you spent a lot of time putting up that barrier, that clear coat,
Yeah, plasticizer.
the plasticizer.
It's a pain in the neck.
Yeah, I mean, you did like, you covered the whole thing, you taped it, you glued, you took a lot of, you didn't just like slap it up. You being the business owner who was on site at that job, and you had a team there with you as well, you took that because you viewed that as the most important part to make sure that the rest of the house didn't get contaminated when you were doing your work. And I think that's just, it's indicative of your personality and of how you operate as a human being and why you care so much.
Yeah, you go the extra mile. Again, spending a lot of time with the customer is important before you even do anything. Just over-explaining, asking them if they have any concerns, asking if they have any questions, getting everything out open. There's never a surprise. If we find something, we tell them immediately. There's never a surprise. There's never any drama. I'm going to hold their hand the whole way through. Because, again, I don't want them to be upset or overwhelmed. And I don't feel like being upset or overwhelmed during the job either. You know, I try to avoid drama. I don't want drama. Sometimes I'll even have to tell certain customers, I don't think I'm the right fit for you. Just because I don't want certain things going on. I want everything to be smooth. When it's over, I want to walk away. We're shaking hands. We had a good experience even though it was from a bad thing. And they remember me, I remember them, because it was just overall a great experience. It's a job, but it's also an experience I'm putting them through. You know, something they have to go through, but so we're going to make it the best experience possible.
I had an idea just now, and I don't normally do this on camera, but
Yeah, go for it, man, right off the cuff.
From a content perspective, I feel like with the owner's permission, obviously, you could do something like almost a documentary style. It doesn't need to be shot, you know, like a Netflix documentary and made to be like this beautiful 4K, you know,
Right,
video, but like you could do individual stories on these on these jobs and dive into the personal stuff behind it sometimes. Again, you would need permission and you need someone who's willing to be open about that.
That's something I was actually considering too.
But I think that's a really cool angle for you because that is your brand and that's who you are as a person. You know, the question I was going to ask you, which maybe I feel bad asking, is do you? But I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you think that there's a moment or some moments where your empathy and your superpower in a way has also hurt the business?
Of course.
How so?
Well, I take things a little slower. So perhaps if I moved along quicker and didn't take that time out, maybe I could take on more work. But being the brand kind of keeps me attached there. Being that person keeps me attached there. And it's something that's hard for me to let go of.
I'm glad you said that because I don't agree with being the brand keeps you attached there.
Right.
I think it's a personal thing
Right,
in your head, and that's okay if that's the way you want to operate. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just.
It does hurt.
People, yeah, the Long Island mold guy. I think that's one of the things in like creating this business that I had seen, you know, so and so productions using their name, and then they're expected to be on site, or there's like that personal attachment to it, which is why I didn't put my name in the name of the business because I didn't want to be attached to like having to be on site for every single
DeAngelis Media.
Exactly. I don't want to be DeAngelis Media just because then it's not DeAngelis Media at the end of the day. We have a great team of people surrounding me, and similar to Long Island Mold Guy, you have a great team of people.
I can't do anything without the people that help me, and I thank them very much. And I don't do that often enough. Oh, maybe I do. I think I thank them every day. And you know, after a hard day,
I find it difficult to think that you would just be like, all right, guys, get the fuck out of here. I'm done with you.
I always ask, and that's, you know, when we're on the job, I always ask. I don't like, I don't say do this, do that. Hey man, can you do this? You mind doing that? You mind taking care of this? You know, that's how I always approach it. I thank them because again, I couldn't do all that work by myself. You know, and it's hard work. It's not easy work. It's jeopardizing your health. So I commend my guys, Jason and James. Those are my two main guys, and they've helped me a great deal.
That's very cool.
I'm nothing without.
So getting back on the timeline here, created Long Island Mold Guy as a brand. Around what time was that?
That was 2017.
2017.
Yep.
Okay. So now we're moving a little bit forward. Did we hit any roadblocks? Did we hit any like immediate growth? How did that start?
Well, yeah, there's always some roadblocks going along the way. One of them, which you actually know about me, but not, again, many people do unless they follow me on social, where I posted one video about it. But I did have some medical roadblocks along the way.
When was this?
Let's see, we're in 2025 now, which will be October will be 6 years clean. So 6 years ago. Okay. Give me on the math again, 2019?
2019.
So yeah, around 2019.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah, pre-COVID I was diagnosed with both cancer of my appendix and colon cancer. Obviously I didn't know about the colon cancer right away. Thought I had an appendix problem, which I did, rushed to the hospital. And after healing from that appendix surgery is when they told me I had a rare form of cancer in my appendix and that I also had colon cancer. Thankfully at that point, when he was telling me my appendix was removed, but now we had to deal with the colon cancer. So I had surgery for the appendix, so I was laid up from that for a little while. And now I have to wait to heal from that before I now have to go back to get similar surgery to remove part of my colon. So then that put me down. So being that I really wasn't overly established as a business and a business owner at the time, I kind of had to go out of business for a little while. You know, we were running a few little jobs here and there, but not enough where it was taking care of me financially. So it was a tough time. I actually had to sell one of my vehicles to make a few bucks and keep a few dollars around. So I kind of fell back a little bit. And that made me realize, you know, when I did heal up, I better get the right people around me, so that, God forbid, this or something else, that's not going to happen again, but something happens in life, I have some people that can go out and, keep some income coming in, so I don't have to sell my, my van, my firstborn, or anything like that, to make ends meet. My business can still go, and we can still survive if I'm not there.
The moment that you get that diagnosis, what are you first thinking of in that? Are you thinking of the business? Are you thinking of the family? Like, what's the first thought?
I was just in disbelief. I wasn't expecting that at all.
Did you have the symptoms besides the appendix, obviously?
No symptoms. Just that night came along, like with the appendix. I had pain on where the appendix is on the side, and I was like, "Get me in." That was the only symptom. I know a lot of people that experience colon cancer will have weight loss, perhaps blood in the stool and things like that. I was losing weight, but I was exercising a lot, working hard, so I thought maybe it was associated to that. Even James, who works for me at the time, he's like, "Man, you're looking lean." And then later he's like, "Now I feel bad," because I was sick. But he didn't know. But yeah, no big symptoms. We're not exactly sure what caused it. Perhaps it was the appendix cancer. Maybe that started leaching into my colon. I'm not sure, because they checked all my lymph nodes. It didn't spread beyond my colon. So maybe it was caused by that. We don't know.
Yeah. What kind of lifestyle are you living at this point? Are you eating healthy, taking care of yourself? I know you said you're exercising, you were losing a little bit of weight. Maybe you thought that it was associated to that. But as far as like your diet, things along those lines, what kind of lifestyle were you living at that point?
Well, again, I don't know what the cause was, but in my mind, I decided I didn't want to eat animals anymore, or animal-based food. I didn't want to eat meat because in my head. Again, I don't want to scare people. A lot of people like to eat meat. I miss certain things, but I decided I don't want to eat that anymore. I was like, I'm going to grill this hunk of dead animal. It's going to get some carcinogens on it when I grill it, and then I'm going to put it in my colon, in my stomach, and let it digest there. It's doing bad things. So I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go on a plant-based diet. I did a lot of juicing because I had cancer, and I decided I didn't want to do chemo either. I went against my doctor's orders. They said, "We want you to do chemotherapy," and I didn't think I needed it. And I didn't want to do it because I was afraid. So I said, I'm going to adopt a plant-based lifestyle. I spent several months just juicing pounds of fruits and vegetables every day to get as many nutrients and vitamins and minerals as I could to get my body healthy and healed. And that's what I started doing. And I've been a plant-based eater ever since. I feel very healthy eating that way. And I seek longevity. If I'm going to get older, I think that's the best route for me. It's worked for me. I feel good. And I've stuck with it, and I think it's beneficial to me.
What kind of role did your wife play in that scenario? Because I know she owns a business herself, and she is a vegan chef, correct?
Yes, she was actually a vegan 1 year before I decided to become vegan.
Okay. So did she weigh into that decision at all? What was the...
I like to say plant-based lifestyle because vegans... Yeah, I mean, I am vegan, but it's
you eat a plant-based
There's
diet.
more behind vegan than just eating.
That's the branding, right?
Yeah, there's a whole other
Eating a plant-based diet is a little different than living the vegan lifestyle.
I did it more for health reasons, or what I believe to be healthy reasons, but along the way I become a little more woke to how animals are treated. So that it wasn't initially like, I got to save the animals. I was looking to save myself, and then learned maybe I'll help save the animals too. But yeah, it's...
Your wife, what kind of role did she
play?
play?
She always, even when she first started, she was trying to push, she was like incorporating, plant-based meals into my meat eating, when she first started. I really wasn't into it. I like smoking, I like the barbecue, and, I liked meat. I like to eat steak and all that type of stuff like everybody else does. That's the way I grew up, and I think that's the lifestyle everybody was brought up on. So it was a little tough at first, of course, and then when I fully became plant-based eating, it was still tough. You have to figure out what to eat, and that's where a lot of people end up going wrong or changing back because they don't know how to adapt or live or what to eat. You know, you got to get the protein. You're going to die of protein deficiency as a vegan, you know, so you have to figure out what to eat or else you'll just become frustrated. So you have to learn how to cook, and I actually have a background as a chef. Long before the mold days, I went to culinary school, and I used to cook for a living. So I like to cook, and it was a little easier because I like to cook to find things that we like to eat. And even though I am plant-based, I fall off the wagon and eat plant-based processed food and, you know, plant-based junk food and vegan junk food, you know, like the processed burgers and stuff like that.
The Beyond Meats and things
you
like
know,
that.
again, a lot of people ask, well, why do you want stuff that looks or tastes like meat? And I was like, well, because I used to be a meat eater. I just don't want the graveyard in me anymore, and I want to eat what I believe is. You know, I don't want to get into the vegan now.
That's cool.
Talking shit.
A little unknown, a little known fact about me is that I ate a plant-based diet for 3 years,
Right.
And that started like during COVID. My wife and I, it was almost like a challenge in a way for
It is.
myself.
I think it is.
And I learned that, like a challenge that I set out for myself,
Oh,
not
okay,
a challenge
gotcha.
to do it.
Right.
Although it did become challenging later on. I think that I was just bored and doing a lot of research and learning about things. I had a lot of friends that were eating plant-based diets as well that kind of like pushed me in this direction. And for 3 years, my wife and I ate a plant-based diet. We were living in Queens at the time. It was COVID, so we had a lot of time on our hands to cook all our meals.
Yeah,
and where I fell off the wagon was when life started to go back to normal after COVID, and I was traveling a lot more and doing a lot more work on the go. It became more difficult to do it in a healthful way for myself, where we made the decision to reincorporate meat and eggs back into our diet after that, but simply because we couldn't sustain the healthy lifestyle that we wanted to live. But we still eat some plant-based meals here or there.
Yeah, I'm sure you're getting your veggies and your fruits and
Yeah, and I learned a lot of great recipes from that as well. You know,
You like tofu?
I do. I'm a tofu fan. Where it became a problem is like then we were turning to the processed, you know, Beyond Meats all the time.
Beyond burgers, Beyond sausage,
Yeah.
they make a good Italian sausage.
Yeah, it just became not sustainable for our lifestyle.
Right.
Which
Yeah, I
was a
find
little
myself,
difficult.
sometimes I'll get on a roll and I'm eating it too much. I'm like, damn it, I gotta
Yeah,
stop.
it becomes a little difficult. But back to
Yes, back to reality.
back to the business and your story here. So 2019, diagnosed, you had your surgery. Everything good immediately after that, or were there some struggles along the way as far as, you know, you said talking about chemo and then switching to a plant-based diet. Were there any setbacks in the health journey there?
No setbacks. I was on what my doctors or oncologists calls the 5-year monitoring plan. And so for 5 straight years, I have to make more than regular visits to my oncologist where they'll check my blood, check my cancer markers, get routine colonoscopies, get routine CAT scans, and just always just keep checking.
And throughout that process, you never once had any traces of cancer in your system at all?
No setbacks. Even like for like the first year or so, they were still trying to push the chemo on me. And the reason I didn't want to do the chemo was because when I was younger, my mom had cancer. She had lung cancer, and she was on chemo. And I watched her become so frail and just basically wither away to nothing. And that's the vision I had in my head. And I said to them, well, you took the tumor out. You took part of my colon away. Do you see anything in there anymore? And he's like, there's nothing in there. And I said, well, if you do this chemo, we got nothing to look at. Like with other types of cancer, like lung cancer, for instance, you see a tumor in there. You can see it if it shrinks or goes away. There's nothing to see here. And I said, why do I want to subject my body to that? And I just didn't want to do it. And they thought I was crazy. Some of my family, my wife didn't think I was crazy. But some of my other family members thought I was a little nuts. But you gotta do it. It's gonna save you. I was like, but we're not gonna see any results here. I was like, I think my route's the better path. I'm gonna give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been great ever since. And eventually, at the end of that 5 years, my oncologist said, you are cancer-free.
So that's 24.
They didn't let me ring that bell.
No,
I
you
don't know
didn't
if
get
you
the
ever
bell?
seen the bell.
I
I don't
have
know
seen
if
the bell.
because I didn't do the chemo, I don't get bell ringing privileges.
I think that might be
you
it.
know, but
You can go in and ring it.
yeah, I did. I walked in there one day. I had an appointment for something else, and I was like, you know what? Hitting the bell. You know.
So that's great to hear. I'm glad that you're healthy and,
Thank you.
and living the life that you're supposed to live here. At what point after the surgeries do you get back to work?
I would say it was probably about 8 months. I got back to work fully and got things cooking again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been better ever since. And it can get better. You know, I would like to see it grow more. And I think with the proper help, that could be done. But I work at it every day, and you know, I'm always on social media, as you know, working with you guys. I love doing and making content by myself and with you guys. I find it enjoyable. I think it's fun.
Yeah. You're a very creative guy, just in general. Where does we didn't even talk about like your music background at all either.
Yeah.
When does that come into the?
Well, that was back when I first started in restoration.
Mm-hmm.
When were we talking? The 95,
Yeah,
I think
late
we were
90s.
at. So yeah, between 95 and 2000 would probably be the band days, or into 2002 maybe. But that's when it first got started. We were in the emergency service business. We would just hang out in my studio, and we'd work on music. Water damage comes in, and we'd go to a water damage.
Like a firehouse.
Right, pretty
Just
much.
hanging
Yeah.
out,
Just
and
hanging
then,
out, working on
the phone
music.
rang.
We'd put movies on the TV and look for voice samples and weird noises, and you know, just hang out all day and making music until a job came in. And I've always found myself to be imaginative and creative, even when I was younger. And again, being a feelings type of person, mixing that with creativity, it became an outlet for me. So writing lyrics, entertaining and performing was a way for me to be creative, and it also gave me an outlet to express myself. So I've always been creative, and now what I know from doing that, because we were always promoting the band, out with the CDs, out promoting at shows, playing shows, and you know, getting ourselves around, and there was no social media.
Yeah.
When we first started, MySpace popped up back then, so we had a MySpace page, but that was about it. So going through all that, and I've brought that mentality into the business now, where we're promoting and with the social media.
It leaches through in everything that you do. It's like you're just a fun. There is a
Fun guy.
You're a fun guy. There's like a little chaotic, in a good way, energy to the creativity that you have. But it's funny to hear you say that you're a very organized person in the past. So I think that's a funny maybe dichotomy of who you are as a
Organized
person.
chaos.
Yeah, you're an organized person, but there's like a chaotic energy to the creativity in what you do, and you allow yourself to be creative and go out there and do these things. I mean, we've done a ton of videos with you in the past, and you're always coming up with a new idea and a new thing, and there's not necessarily there is always a reason for it, but there's not necessarily a strict strategy behind it. Like you were like, hey, let's do this video, I want to get a llama in it. And we were like, why?
I know, we still got to do that.
Yeah, but why are we going to do this? And you're just like, because I think it'll be cool. And that comes across, I think, in that one of your superpowers is being yourself, being that empathetic person. And if you want to have a llama in your video, then we're going to get a fucking llama in the video. It's going to be fun as hell.
Llama and a breakdancer. I still got the breakdancer on hold. I found one, he's waiting.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's something I think that you're talking about wanting to double your business and I'm certainly not a business coach in any way, shape, or form.
Me neither.
But I think that leaning into who you are from a branding perspective and continuing to just be yourself, and not put too much pressure on having to change things in order to get to that double or that next level. I think when you become comfortable with that, you will see that.
Right. That's my biggest problem too. One of my problems, I should say. I put a lot of pressure on myself. Don't give myself credit. Stuff like that.
Why do you do that?
I can't explain it, man. I'm just hard on myself. I don't know. I guess sometimes when you don't feel you've reached a certain point of success in your life or something, I'm the type of person, since I'm emotional, I'll get down on myself instead of finding the positive part. I don't know if I can explain why I'm that way.
I've explained this to people.
I think.
I'm similar in the way of, like, I get down on myself a good bit, and I've explained to my wife and other people that the biggest sign of improvement for me over the last few years has been, you always have those ebbs and flows. You have the ups and downs in business and in life. Great thing, your child's born, oh, I have cancer. And there's all these different things going on in life. Or like, oh, my kid's born, the business is suffering, and there's all these different pieces. The thing that I've learned is to keep those lows as short as possible, or to limit them, because there's no way that you can just be constantly riding high. It doesn't, there's no high without the low.
Right.
But I used to get really high for 2 weeks and then get really low for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and really high for 2 weeks and really low for 2 weeks. And where I learned, if I could limit the length of the low, is when I realized, oh, this time I felt low for 3 days.
Right.
But then I came back up. And it was, the more that I can keep myself from staying down, the more consistent the business started to come.
Yeah, it's a bad place to be down low.
Yeah, and I think people talk about discipline and motivation and all those things a lot. Sometimes just doing the thing, even when you do feel low, even if you can just get one thing done, it can really get you back up into that upswing.
Yeah, as long as you're capable of celebrating those small wins, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. What are some of those small wins that you can celebrate?
The other day, I know it sounds corny, but I reached 2,500 followers on Instagram.
That's a good win.
There's a nationwide mole remediation group on Facebook, and a woman from Long Island randomly posted in there anonymously looking for a good mole remediation contract, and that's a nationwide group. And a bunch of people in there mentioned me, saying they're from around the United States.
Yeah.
And that know about me. And
some guy in Arizona is saying, hey, you got to talk to Don if you're in Long Island.
Yeah, that felt pretty good. So there was it was only 3 or 4 comments of people referring me, but from people in different states. I thought that was pretty cool, and that made me feel good.
That's very cool. I mean, it's kind of the little signs along the way, oh, what I'm doing is working. What I'm doing is working.
Yeah.
And it keeps you fed.
Yeah, if I'm giving them knowledge from in another state somewhere.
Yeah.
And they're referring me, to somebody that's asking for help back over here. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is very cool. So you mentioned before, and I told you I would bring it back. I wrote it down. Your slogan, the right guy for your fungi.
Yeah, I'm the right guy for your
And you recently trademarked it.
That's correct. It took a little over a year
Yeah,
to
what's
get it
that
done.
process like? Because I've never trademarked anything, and I'm curious.
There was a bunch of paperwork. Sean, I can't remember his last name. I met him through Adam in Huga, and he helped me. He's a trademark attorney.
Okay.
There was a bunch of paperwork to fill out. I got trademarked my logo and my slogan. But mostly paperwork and a lot of waiting.
What's the benefit of trademarking that? What does that do for you?
For me, I just thought it was pretty cool.
Okay.
I said, I'm going to trademark my slogan that I made up, and now nobody really could legally use it for anything else. So I think it would be cool if I find somebody using it and I can tell them, cease
Stop
and desist. Don't be using my slogan, or perhaps even monetize if somebody uses it. You know, hey, you're using that to make money, I'm going to sue you.
So it's just simply ownership of.
Yeah, simply
of
ownership.
the-
I thought it would be cool to trademark
It's very cool. And you can put the TM next to it now.
Yeah, I'm talking smack, you know, with suing people and stuff like that. I just thought it was cool.
I don't think at the end of the day you want to sue people. I think you
No.
just you want to protect yourself. And when you sue people, it just takes
Yeah, I'm just
your
being,
time.
being a wise guy. Yep, time is the most valuable commodity.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I want most of.
And I think that going back to you saying, you know, a certain level of success, what I found in our conversations and in this conversation is that you made a decision to maybe limit the monetary success that you had, but
Absolutely.
because you had this value of wanting to spend time with your family. And so in that way, you're very successful. You were able to create something to live the life that you wanted and make decisions that you wanted.
Right.
And I mean, at the end of the day, you had clarity on what it is you wanted, and you achieved that.
Well, it's tough because you know a lot of people, when they say, oh, he's reached success, they associate it with money and nothing else. It's,
Yeah, but
you know?
fuck everyone.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
In my opinion, fuck everybody. Fuck
Yep.
you.
I'm doing what I want to do. We're doing what we want to do.
Yeah. Like, what's success to me? Is it $1 million? Is it $20,000? Like, what's the monetary success number that makes sense for my life so that I can live the life that I want to live?
Right.
And if you've achieved that, then, you know, great.
Yep.
You know, and then you can just make another decision to say, hey, I want to double. And then you focus on that. And it
Yeah,
takes
there's a
little bit of time
few,
and
a
energy
couple of
away.
things, you know, materialistic things I'd like to get
Yeah.
while I'm still here.
So yeah, I think just in general, like, that's a good way to look at things. That
Right,
you
and
know,
I don't take the
little
time
wins.
to do that. You're helping me realize that's success.
I think
right?
it is.
A lot of times I don't stop and say, wow, I'm successful because I'm doing this, right? And you just brought that to my
Yeah,
attention.
I mean, a
That's-
little win is you're sitting here, we're having this conversation in the middle of the day on a Wednesday, and your team's out doing something.
Right.
Think about 2019, you had your cancer diagnosis, and
Right,
you had
laying
to
in
shut down
bed.
your business. Like, this is a complete and total win compared to that.
Yeah.
It's sometimes putting things in perspective for yourself. Like, I do it all the time with the team, where I'm like, damn, I want to be at this point, I want to be here. But then I look at where we are versus where we've come from just 3 years ago, and I'm like, holy shit, we're doing amazing. We're cranking.
And if
we're
I
winning.
can go back and add in, you know, part of this whole thing too, we talked about the band days, and that transition around that area is almost close to right around, like I started ending the band thing, my daughter was born, you know, and I didn't want to forget to bring that up because that's a big change in my life. I went from being this